And all right, so we are live here on Twitch. I'm about a minute early, so before I really get into the news, I'll let you guys know. Today is Thursday, March 30th, 2023. The cup I'm holding, for those of you who are tuned in live, or if you are watching this on YouTube, and you can see that I'm on YouTube or Spotify, you can see that I'm holding a cup. This is the Dungeons and Dragons cup from Cinemark. If you guys, wherever you live, if you go to your local Cinemark movie theater, and you can actually get one of these cups, one of these commemorative cups. Dungeons and Dragons only in theaters tomorrow, March 31st, which is the day that this episode airs. I will be seeing it Saturday. Highly recommend. I'm actually looking forward to seeing it in theaters. All right. Well, it is now 7 o'clock, and welcome back to Cobbs Corner. I'm your host, Morgan Cobbs. Welcome to this week's edition of Current Nerd News, and got a lot to cover this week. So let's just jump right into it. Right off the top, I have to address the giant elephant in the room that is the recent controversy with Johnathan Majors. As I'm taking my headphones out, Johnathan Majors was recently arrested on assault charges, and his girlfriend claimed that he had abused her or whatever. Although Major's lawyers have released a statement saying that they've got text messages and video proof that Majors is innocent. Now, I believe in the rule of law. I believe in crime and punishment. I think that if he is found guilty, I want to say he's due in court May 8th, I think, or around that time. If he actually is guilty, then I believe that he should pay his debt to society, and that would open a huge can of worms for Marvel Studios and even for MGM. As he's recently, already this year, we've seen him as Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and as Damien in Creed 3. So and he's young too. He's only 33 years old. All right, he's not that older than me. And okay, well, he's 11. Okay, well, he's 11 years older than me, but he's a relatively young, relatively new actor on the scene. And I would hate to see his career just end before it starts. I feel like he's really just starting out as an actor, and he's got a few big roles under his belt, and I'm really hoping that he's innocent. His lawyers and people from his team have said that they've got proof that he's innocent. I'm hoping that he is innocent. We will find out. But I just want to warn everyone not to jump to conclusions and not to jump to, canceling anyone when we don't have all the information. Again, it's why I said if he's innocent, then they'll let him walk. And I believe that regardless of the verdict, I believe that if he's innocent, if he's found innocent, then he will be able to continue as an actor in Hollywood. He's not going to be blacklisted. That's my prediction. That is my hope, that we don't blacklist him, even if he is wrongfully accused of abuse. So, this just goes to show the lengths that folks will go to tear you down when you're at the top. So, and from his girlfriend of all people too. So I think this whole thing is just, it's all going to, the truth's going to come out eventually. It's all going to come out in the wash. And, I feel like we're all just going to have to wait and see, but I think a lot of us are going to feel real stupid about it afterwards. So let's hope that we do get to see more of Johnathan Majors in Hollywood. That's my hope going forward. I hope and pray that we will be able to see him. Shout out to whoever, my one viewer live. I'm broadcasting live on Twitch. Shout out to my one person viewing. Salute. You know who you are. And the chat is open. For those of you who are viewing this live, the chat is open. So feel free to type any of your questions, your comments, your input into today's discussion. This is an open dialogue. Feel free to drop us a line. Let us know. All right. Moving on from that, because we only have an hour. Real quick, Wu-Tang and American Saga. I've talked about this show before on Current Nerd News. Check it out on Hulu. Yesterday's episode talked about how the Wu-Tang Clan worked on their second album and the struggles that Ghostface Killer had with going back to his old neighborhood, back to Staten Island, and him meeting his childhood heroes. So, Wu-Tang and American Saga, it's one of those shows that you just got to check it out for yourself. I highly recommend everybody go check out this show. It is on Hulu. Watch the first 2 seasons. There's only 3 seasons. The third season, this is the final season. I want to say next week will be the series finale. Check out all 3 seasons. Now, you can binge through seasons 1 and 2 to catch up in time for next week's episode. But I want to say next week's episode might be the series finale. But check out this show. Something for everyone. Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 5. This show, okay, I definitely think going forward, we are going to see more of the Mandalorians. We're going to see more of Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan, who if you remember, I think it was season 3 episode 3, I think, where she actually saw the mythosaur. And if you remember, at the end of last week's episode, the armorer was like, "Yeah, well, you probably see a lot of things when you down there." But yeah, she's seen the mythosaur, and in yesterday's episode, we saw the what is it? Grief Carr, Carl Weathers' character. He is now the High Magistrate of whatever that planet was that they were on the first season. They've pretty much gone straight, and then pirates attacked, and the Mandalorians and Din Djarin and his group of Mandalorians that used to live underneath. They used to hide out in the sewers of that place. Now they have come and they have liberated this town, and they have been given a solid plot of land on this planet. And Grief Carr, he even said, "You may not have a home world, but you'll always have a home." So I'm wondering, are we going to see, are they still sort of setting up the Ahsoka series, which I'm looking forward to the Ahsoka series. I'm looking forward to future projects within the Star Wars universe, both animated and live action. We even saw a bit of Zeb, who was in Star Wars Rebels. Now I got to go back and rewatch Star Wars Rebels. But going forward, we will see more of the Mandalorians. We're even kind of going to trickle our way into, timeline wise, we're getting closer and closer to the sequel trilogy. So there's going to probably be some nods to the sequel trilogy. We're chronologically between episodes 6 and 7. after Return of the Jedi, before The Force Awakens. I don't know the exact amount of time. I don't know what the exact time jump is off the top of my head. Again, Star Wars nerds, feel free to clarify in the comments below. But overall, I enjoyed this week's episode, especially since either last week or week before last was like the lowest rated episode of the entire series. So this is definitely a full 180 because season 3, episode 5 was phenomenal. All right, seeing a full 180 from if you remember season 1 when Din Djarin fought against Greef Karr and the group of Mandalorians, they had to come out of hiding in order to help Din Djarin escape from that planet, and now they have come and they have liberated this planet from liberated these people from pirates in the absence of the New Republic, because this system is not, it's an independent system. It is not technically a part of the New Republic. It is not within their jurisdiction. So yeah, we even got Tim Meadows. Tim Meadows showed up in this episode. So go check out Mandalorian season 3, episode 5, streaming exclusively on Disney Plus. All right. Yeah, Mandalorian, even with Star Wars, again, there's something here for everyone. There's something for everyone, and I love what they're doing. I love what they're doing with Star Wars and with The Mandalorian. We're probably going to be seeing more of Bo-Katan, who, now that she has removed her helmet, but after bathing in the sacred waters and going back to the way and this is the way and all that, she has put her helmet on, and since joining the Coven, joining that group of Mandalorians, she has not removed her helmet. But then there's a scene where the armorer tells her to remove her helmet, and now Bo-Katan walks between both worlds, and she is sent off away from that group from our main group of Mandalorians to go and find other foundlings, to find other Mandalorians scattered across the galaxy. So maybe Bo-Katan, Bo-Katan Kryze, as I should say, maybe Bo-Katan Kryze will show up again in a later episode. Maybe not next week's episode, but maybe week after next. Maybe we will see her again. If not in season 3 of The Mandalorian, then in season 1 of Ahsoka. Who knows? A lot of exciting stuff going on in the world of Star Wars. Check out The Mandalorian. Check out and also like Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, everything else. I'm going to step out for a minute. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. And I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, that is well, let's see. So far, we've covered Johnathan Majors recently being arrested, and Wu-Tang and American Saga, The Mandalorian. On to the main event. What I really wanted to talk about with this week's episode is John Wick Chapter 4. Now, this edition of Current Nerd News is not going to contain spoilers. I will probably have a spoiler-filled, more in-depth review coming soon. Now, I'm not going to put an exact date on it or anything, but that review is coming soon. So to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, this movie really just upped the ante. Like I saw it twice. There's a reason I saw it twice, and I saw it in IMAX both times. Saw it in IMAX both times. Phenomenal. It's just one of those really just like high octane films. Okay, it's like we had. I mean, I'm just looking at the cast right now. Like, I mean, you got Keanu Reeves, you got Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne comes back, and okay, want to offer a promotion of the channel use. Okay, sorry, I just got a random comment. Yeah, you got Keanu Reeves, who does not look 58 years old, guys. I mean, this man does not look like a day over maybe 45. Like he hasn't, I think he stopped aging. I think his body said, I'm done aging when the first John Wick came out, which was, I mean, it's crazy to think that the first John Wick came out in 2014. So he was, even at that point, he was pushing 50. Like he was 49 when the first one came out. I think that was when he stopped aging. Yeah, Keanu Reeves just doing what he does, just being a total badass. The late Lance Reddick, God rest his soul. But without getting into spoiler territory, but Lance Reddick, he was young. He was only 60 years old, but his character Sharon really showed up and did his thing in this movie. As well, very, very stoic, very, commanding presence. Lance Reddick will always be remembered in my eyes as Sharon because I am not familiar with any of his other content, which I've mentioned in previous episodes, or anything else that he's been in. You got Donnie Yen. Now, Lionsgate, I don't know. Now, Lionsgate, I'm not complaining or anything, okay, about you guys bringing in Donnie Yen and having him play a blind man. But I'm wondering, did you guys see Rogue One maybe one too many times? Okay, I mean, Donnie Yen's a badass in this movie and all, but and I even saw a meme like for those of you who followed me on Instagram, I think just yesterday I had a meme on my Instagram story about how Donnie Yen has outdone Daredevil twice. He's both played a blind Jedi, and a blind assassin. I mean, shoot. Yeah, Donnie Yen just doing his thing. Ip Man, all right. This dude has played Ip Man. He was in Rogue One, among other things. Definitely go check out his stuff. But Donnie Yen as Kane was, dare I say, he was my favorite character. I'm stepping on somebody's toes right now. Dare I say that Donnie Yen just stole the show. I mean, thank you, Keanu Reeves. John Wick will always be, a badass. And Keanu Reeves, you will always be remembered as John Wick. But man, Donnie Yen stole the show. All right. Bill Skarsgård as the main antagonist. Yeah, he was good. Ian McShane. Ian McShane, such a commanding presence. I mean, Hiroyuki Sanada, every role that he does. Now, it's my understanding that David Leitch produced the John Wick films. He's like the main producer that's worked on John Wick's 1, 2, and 3, and I want to say he's also worked on John Wick 4. I'll clarify that in my spoiler review. But I know David Leitch, he definitely directed Bullet Train, which I saw last year, and Hiroyuki Sanada he killed it in that movie as well. Like Hiroyuki Sanada, like he, old, a bit older, he's 62 years old, but he's just such a commanding presence in every role that he does, whether if it's Rush Hour 3 or his one scene in Avengers Endgame. I heard that he was originally going to show up in John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, but then decided not to show up in John Wick 3 and instead in favor of him going and being in Avengers Endgame. So from that one scene in Endgame, but so yeah, in the end, we got him for that one scene in Avengers Endgame, but boy, did he show up and boy, did he deliver in John Wick 4. All right. I feel like there's certain actors and certain roles. It's like, you can't really explain why it works so well, but it just does. I feel like Keanu Reeves as John Wick, Hiroyuki Sanada in like all of his roles. It's like, is there anything that these guys cannot do? Is there anything that these guys can't do? Like even in their old age, like these are like middle-aged, like elderly dudes. Like, but I'm wondering, like, is there anything that these guys cannot do though? And can we just keep making John Wick movies for all eternity, please? Like, supporting cast was great. Shamir Anderson as the comic relief, phenomenal. I didn't even recognize Scott Adkins. Scott Adkins, dude, got under like makeup, prosthetics, and freaking a whole fat suit. I like how what they did with this movie. They gave like the new blood, the new characters more screen time than the characters that we had already seen, like Bowery King, Lawrence Fishburne. He's in the movie, but he's not really like a main presence. Like even Winston is not like, they're not like main players in the movie per se. Like they're not as prevalent as they were in John Wick's 2 and 3, because if I'm not mistaken, Winston didn't even show up until John Wick Chapter 2. Same goes for Bowery King. Oh, and Sharon, I think. Yeah, Sharon. So they were definitely like main players in John Wick's 2 and 3, and I think with John Wick 4, they really, and it's my understanding that this will be the last John Wick movie, and there might be a spinoff. There might be a John Wick spinoff film coming soon, again, which I'll go more in depth in my, when I actually like review this film for real. What was I saying? But yeah, I definitely think that they went out of their way to give Keanu Reeves more screen time. John Wick, Donnie Yen's character Kane, and the new blood more screen time. And usually they'll do that in a film, like when it's a franchise film, is they'll have like the old characters, like the seasoned veterans of the franchise. They'll be there, but they won't be in the same prevalent roles that they were in before. And I think my prediction is that they want to go forward with these side characters, and they want to further expand and grow the John Wick universe, which I'm all for. I'm definitely all for not so much a passing of the torch, but maybe a lighting of the next torch. Like the old characters, they carry their torch while lighting other torches as well. So, but yeah, I mean the high table, the world building was excellent. The action sequences, it was nonstop. It was like total nonstop action through and through. I didn't even feel its runtime. You know, I'm just my well, its reported runtime here on Google, 2 hours 49 minutes. I didn't feel the runtime at all. You know, this movie, Avengers Endgame. Every time I watch it, I don't feel like I'm sitting there for 3 hours. You know, I always say that the runtime is not as important as the pacing of a film. A film can, you know, a film like, you know, John Wick Chapter 4, like, sure, it can be 2 hours and 49 minutes, but then does it feel like 2 hours and 49 minutes? Like, do I feel like I'm sitting and watching this like slow moving film? Like, no, there was never a dull moment. And this movie is the best John Wick film. You know, I probably rank the films, we'll say Chapter 4, Chapter 3, Parabellum, John Wick 1, and then Chapter 2. You know, I think, and I recently, my audio commentaries for John Wicks 1, 2, and 3 are all available to listen to on YouTube and on all podcast streaming platforms. So definitely check those out. I just think Chapter 2 kind of fell flat for just for me personally. It's just, you know, my opinion. I don't know. It fell flat. I feel like it didn't really pack as much punch as like the first one or the third one, and there were more locations in John Wick's 3 and 4, and more like revisiting of old. Even in Chapter 4, like we revisit some old locations and we get some new locations as well. And I think like as a film, Chapter 2 didn't do a whole lot to further develop the John Wick story and the franchise. Yeah, or maybe for me, like it just doesn't compare to the first one or to 3 and 4. And then there's like John Wick Chapter 2. It's like, yeah, that John Wick movie with Common, and so yeah. But Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a Rotten Tomatoes score of 94%, and an audience score to match. 94%, both critics and audiences agree that this movie is top tier. Now, I know it was a bold accusation that I made. I not too long ago I was on an episode of the Comic Boys podcast where I said that Creed 3 was the best movie of 2023, and we are only in March. Is John Wick Chapter 4 the best movie of 2023? I don't know. I put it maybe second best, second only to Creed 3. Again, right now, you know, I mean, this is just again an initial reactions. I might in December, what I might do in December is I might like rank all the movies that I saw in theaters for that year. I might rank them from like best to worst. Let me know if that's something you guys want to see. You know, I know with Khalil and with Comic Boys and everyone, they're doing like the whole fantasy movie league. I know we're probably going to do another live stream at some point. So let me know if you guys want my personal rankings for the movies of 2023 that I did see in theaters. Definitely let me know. But I agree, 94%. It is deserving of the 94% rating. A lot of times, like I've said before, Rotten Tomatoes, they have a tendency to be overly critical. I would say, you know, I'd say they have a tendency to be overly critical of overly critical of certain films, and a lot of times there's like what the critics will say will not match what the audience says. So I really look more heavily on the audience score. And I personally have not actually submitted a review for John Wick Chapter 4, but the audience score, 94%, and the critic score, 94%. This doesn't happen that often. That's how you know a movie is great. This movie is not just good, it's great. It's top tier. It's like a S tier movie, S tier action movie. All right. Yeah, it is S tier, and I definitely agree. I believe this movie is meant to be experienced, not just viewed, but experienced in theaters, in IMAX. See it in IMAX. If you are able to see it in IMAX, you should. All right. The way that the film is shot and everything, it's and the surround sound, it's a whole experience. You know, that's why I love seeing movies in IMAX. That's why most of the movies I see nowadays are in IMAX. Even though Cinemark at the Cinemark in Milford, Connecticut, which is near University of Bridgeport, which is where I'm located. There's only one IMAX theater there, like one actual IMAX theater. So, and a lot of times, like when a movie's in theaters, it won't be available in IMAX forever. Like it'll only be available in IMAX for like the first couple of weeks. So, depending on when you're watching this broadcast, you may or may not be able to see this movie in IMAX. And I believe that is an experience that everyone must have for certain movies, especially movies are being filmed for IMAX, like Avatar: The Way of Water, Creed 3. Way of Water I did not see in IMAX. I wish I did. Creed 3, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. A lot of these movies are shot in IMAX. So if you can see them in IMAX, definitely see them in IMAX. See them in IMAX 3D if that is an option. You know, might be slightly more expensive, but it is definitely worth the investment. And yeah, John Wick Chapter 4. Like I said, solid world building. We got new locations. We got new characters. We've added to the lore of the John Wick universe. And you're on the edge of your seat the whole time. It may be 2 hours and 49 minutes, but it is a 2 hour and 49 minute thrill ride. There's never a dull moment. Yeah, a lot of movies, they'll kind of like speed up and slow down. It's like, start and stop, and pacing's all over the place, and the runtime's over 2 hours long. And then you come out of the movie theater kind of confused. Almost like Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp, bit on the longer side. I'm trying to think, like, what was the actual runtime? Okay, 2 hours and 5 minutes. So not as long, but the pacing of that movie was a bit like they kind of lost me towards like the second act, like the middle of the movie is when they kind of lost me, and then they got me back towards the end of the second act, and then the third act. But John Wick Chapter 4, all 3 acts were solid. There's movies like Wonder Woman where the first 2 acts are solid. That's me. The first 2 acts were solid in Wonder Woman, which I rewatched not too long ago. Third act kind of fell flat. John Wick Chapter 4, and it's usually not one particular person's fault. It's usually not the director's fault. A lot of times maybe it's the studio or whomever. John Wick Chapter 4 does not do any of that. So really, for me, I've got no complaints about this movie, and I recommend you all see this movie in theaters. Now, for those of you who have seen the movie, I'll be doing a full, in-depth spoiler review, most likely by myself. I'm probably not going to have a guest for this one. I know when I did my spoiler review of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I had Khalil from the Comic Boys podcast. I had him on. And I recently also, and then for Shazam Fury of the Gods, I had Lee from Lights Camera Rant, but I'm probably not going to do that for John Wick 4. But overall, I give this movie a solid like 9.7 out of 10. 9.7 out of 10. It's probably the highest movie ranking that I've given this year. And it's like I said, experience it in theaters, experience it in IMAX. Do not wait for this movie to show up on streaming on streaming platforms. Don't do it. You're doing yourself a disservice. Experience it in theaters. All right. Definitely experience it in theaters. All right. Well, I feel like I'm repeating myself. So I'm going to move on past John Wick, which that's really kind of the main event for tonight. So I'll spend the last 23 to 24 minutes just kind of talking to you guys about Marvel. Now, I recently saw a few posts on Instagram. I follow Screen Rant on Instagram, and saw how Captain America: New World Order is pretty much going to be The Incredible Hulk 2. I mean, now, for my OG listeners, all right, for my OG listeners who have been with me from the beginning, who listened to my, now, the review is only 7 minutes long. Like when I was at the very beginning of my Infinity Saga review series and I reviewed The Incredible Hulk, that review itself is only 7 minutes long. Check it out. It's on YouTube. It's on all streaming platforms. Listen to it if you haven't already. I said how it was the worst Marvel movie ever, and I stand by that statement. I still think that the Incredible Hulk is worse than Eternals, and it's worse than Thor: The Dark World. Though I do consider, and I know Stark Wars. I can see it. I can see you now. You're probably gonna, end up coming for me on Stark Wars, but I did not like Eternals. I thought it was way too long. It had way too many characters. It really tried to do too much with one movie, and it didn't feel connected to any of the other Marvel movies. And I actually saw it in theaters. Saw it in theaters. I kept zoning out. Thor: The Dark World. Glad I didn't see it in theaters. They dealt with some shenanigans behind the scenes, like with Patty Jenkins, I think, started directing and then left the project or whatever. So they had whatever going on behind the scenes. And then the movie itself, I just couldn't follow. I didn't see it in theaters. I did not see that movie in theaters. But neither of those movies compare to The Incredible Hulk. The Incredible Hulk it's a half-baked superhero movie. It's got a bunch of irrelevant characters. The only character really from that movie who shows up again is, Bruce Banner and also Thaddeus Ross. But so many of us forget about the fact that The Incredible Hulk is even a part of the MCU because everyone's so used to seeing Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner and not Edward Norton. All right. I mean, Edward Norton and Mark Ruffalo, they're two very talented individuals. And I think The Incredible Hulk dealt with a lot of stuff behind the scenes. It's like I said a few weeks ago when I had Lights Camera Rant on. It's the movies in which there's shenanigans going on behind the scenes. There's shenanigans on set, studio politics. People can't just get their act together. Then the movie comes out bad. The Incredible Hulk is a prime example of that. So with the upcoming Captain America: New World Order, I'm excited to see Sam Wilson as Captain America, especially after Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like there was that final battle where he says, "I'm Captain America." I mean, so I'm excited. I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to see the direction that they go in, not just with Captain America 4, but also with Thunderbolts. Again, my fan theory: the Thunderbolts, the CIA, they are probably going to invade Wakanda. All right, I stand by that. And Thunderbolts, they're going to be kind of the DC Suicide Squad with Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine as sort of the Waller of the MCU, kind of. So I can see where they're going in that film, and then we might get Harrison Ford as Thaddeus Ross in that film. We know for a fact that Harrison Ford will be making his MCU debut as Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross in Captain America New World Order. I can't remember the exact projected year that it's coming out. Within the next 2 years, we're going to get Captain America New World Order. But I'm just wondering how much, because it's been so long. I mean, The Incredible Hulk came out 15 years ago, so we know for a fact we're getting Liv Tyler as Betty Ross, Thaddeus Ross's daughter, who was the love interest of Bruce Banner back in the Incredible Hulk. We're getting the leader, the leader's coming back. Although, if I'm not mistaken, there's the Nick Fury's Big Week tie-in comic, which may or may not be official MCU canon, but I think in one of the panels we do see Black Widow kill the leader. Off screen, so off screen, but it was in the Nick Fury's Big Week tie-in comic. So who knows at this point? But yeah, we're getting Liv Tyler, getting Harrison Ford. I mean, rest in peace to Thaddeus, to William Hurt, who died about a year ago. He portrayed Thaddeus Ross, General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross in The Incredible Hulk. He was a military general. And then we didn't see him for 8 years. And then 8 years later, we see him in Captain America Civil War as Secretary Ross. At that point, he has been appointed Secretary of State. And then he showed up again briefly in Infinity War at the funeral. Showed up briefly in Infinity War. He only had maybe 2 or 3 lines for that one scene, and it was in hologram form, holographic projection. We see him. He shows up in Avengers Endgame, but he does not have any lines at Tony Stark's funeral. And I guess William Hurt's very last time portraying his very last time portraying Secretary Ross was in Black Widow, which chronologically took place after Civil War, but before Infinity War. So that was his last time as Secretary Ross. So Harrison Ford, I mean, dude is 80 years old. I think he is going to kill it as Thaddeus Ross, as Thunderbolt Ross, who we know for a fact is actually going to be relevant to the storyline, relevant to the plot and the story of Captain America New World Order, which was the title of the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I'm excited for this film, but I'm really just kind of not excited to see Liv Tyler as Betty Ross. Sorry, guys, I did audio commentary for Spider-Man Far From Home recently. Check it out. Check it out on all listening platforms and on YouTube. I mean, all these characters, it's I'm just concerned that it's going to take the focus away from Captain America New World Order, away from Sam Wilson as Captain America, who I really feel needs to get the spotlight as Sam Wilson, as Captain America, as we've now passed the torch to the new Captain America. And he's really solidified his stance as the new Captain America following the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series. So I'm just concerned that this will end up being the Incredible Hulk 2, that we're going to end up seeing. I mean, honestly, next they're probably going to say that Smart Hulk is going to appear. I mean, yeah, I mean, next they're probably going to say like, oh, Smart Hulk is here as well, and now we've got to do like a whole side story about like, the reuniting of, well, he's not even Bruce Banner anymore, of Smart Hulk and Betty Ross, and like, where has she been all this time, all these, like the past like 15 years, like where has she been, and the leader, and so, I'm just really, well, and for me, it's sad because I was really looking forward to Captain America: New World Order, but now I'm cautiously optimistic. Cautiously optimistic about it. Let me know what you guys think about Captain America: New World Order. Should they, like, do you guys agree with their choice to bring back Liv Tyler, to bring back and I will get his name right now. To bring back Liv Tyler, to bring back Tim Blake Nelson. You have Tim Blake Nelson as Samuel Stearns, the leader. I mean, what's next? Are they going to bring back Ty Burrell as Doc Samson? I mean, where has he been? and also, like, what are your guys's? I feel like I never really got to hear like your guys' opinion on the Incredible Hulk and like where it stands for you guys in the MCU. Is it the worst? Is it the second worst? Third worst? Where does it rank for you guys? And do any of us actually care about any of these characters? Do we think that it's a waste of time to bring them back? And I'm wondering if this goes back to She-Hulk and how, I forget the exact year, but at some point, Kevin Feige put out a statement on Twitter that the Abomination was alive and that he was in a prison somewhere, and that there was the possibility that he could come back later on in the MCU. But in that statement, he didn't say anything about Liv Tyler, or about Betty Ross, about Samuel Stearns. He didn't say anything about Doc Samson, any of the characters that survived the Incredible Hulk that we just never saw again. He didn't say anything about those characters. So I feel like at this point, no one really cares about these characters, and they're no longer relevant. I think, yes, they did bring back Tim Roth as the Abomination, as Emil Blonsky, the Abomination in She-Hulk, and it worked there. Yeah, it worked there, and it was relevant to that. Yeah, it was relevant to the story of She-Hulk. And we even got a cameo from Abomination in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So that cameo being sort of a window into the She-Hulk series. But and then maybe, just maybe, they're trying to do the same thing by bringing back Betty Ross. Maybe they're only doing this because we've got Thaddeus Ross, who is now going to be portrayed by Harrison Ford, because we got Secretary Ross in this movie. So they're thinking we can just go nuts and we can like bring in a bunch of like other characters who are also from the Incredible Hulk. But again, my concern is this is not a Hulk series. And I think that maybe if they really wanted to bring back those characters, they should have done so in She-Hulk and not in Captain America: New World Order. I think that Captain America: New World Order should be focused on Captain America, Sam Wilson, and his time as Captain America. And it's funny that the same year that Anthony Mackie made his big screen debut as the Falcon in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, 2014, that same year, the Sam Wilson Captain America comic book run started. So I think it's really, how poetic that we get to see a Black Captain America on the big screen. And I'm really hoping that if these characters are going to be a part of this movie, that they do not take away the focus of the movie, take the focus of the movie away from Sam Wilson, Captain America. And that, I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm just being paranoid. Maybe they're just going to be like side characters. Maybe they'll just be a cameo. Maybe they're going to be integrated into the story nicely, and it's not going to take away from the main plot of the movie, from the main story, from the main storyline of the movie. Maybe it's not going to take away from it. Maybe it'll enhance it. Who knows? But at the same time, this is completely unexpected. This is not at all what I was expecting going into Captain America New World Order, going into Thunderbolts. I have my theories. I have my ideas going into those movies. But, Incredible Hulk. It's available on HBO Max for those of you who actually do want to watch that movie. Personally, you'd have to force me to watch that movie again. Let me know, guys, if you want my audio commentary for The Incredible Hulk. I can maybe do that someday. My review was only 7 minutes long, and I said how it was just, I had nothing but bad things to say about it. So, so definitely let me know what you got. Well, guys, let me know what your thoughts are on the upcoming Captain America New World Order, and really just all like the Phase 5 projects going forward. Because even like we got an official release date for Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion. A lot of the I guess as of like last week, a lot of Marvel series were put as coming soon. They didn't have like official release dates, but we now know for a fact this summer, June 21st, 2023, Secret Invasion will be streaming on Disney Plus. And I'm so excited for this show. We've got probably going to introduce us to Sword. We've got I guess more screen time from War Machine, from Colonel James Rhodes. There's probably going to be some meta joke about him being recast as Don Cheadle and how he was originally cast as Terrence Howard. So probably some meta humor, that like of the Phase 5 of the Phase 5 shows, which we haven't gotten any yet. That's one that I'm actually looking forward to. And like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic about Captain America 4, about Thunderbolts, and even the upcoming Blade series. But just going by my Instagram stories, I posted yesterday, and I'll end with this. Post some screen rant. Captain America 4 is basically The Incredible Hulk 2, which I just talked about. Captain America New World Order will feature the return of Tim Blake Nelson as the leader, Harrison Ford as Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, and Liv Tyler returning to the MCU as Betty Ross. Each character originally appeared in The Incredible Hulk. So, yeah. John Wick spinoff. Yep, John Wick spinoff Ballerina with Ana de Armas gets 2024 release window. So, like I said, there will definitely be a John Wick spinoff. But if you guys remember from John Wick Chapter 3, the whole the ballet scene at the ballet scene at the theater, so maybe we're gonna get a Ballerina spinoff. Please, Lionsgate, but it's getting a 2024 release date, so something to look forward to for next year. That meme, Donnie Yen has now outperformed Daredevil twice. You're not wrong. Shout out to the marvelous Abby, the_marvelous_ABHII, who posted this meme. Definitely check this page out. It's on Instagram. Marvel X DC community, MCU, DC, DCEU updates, rumors, edits, memes. You know, a lot of great. They're doing a lot of great stuff over there. Check those guys out. New Rockstars. Shout out to Eric Voss. Shout out to New Rockstars. They asked, like, is the third movie the best movie? Not necessarily, but then they pointed out Iron Man 3, Captain America Civil War, Thor Ragnarok, Spider-Man No Way Home, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Okay, well, Iron Man 3, I think that Iron Man is better than Iron Man 3, you know. I think Iron Man 3 is between Iron Man and Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is the worst Iron Man movie, only because, again, it doesn't compare to Iron Man's 1 or 3. It's good for what it is. So, Captain America Civil War. Would I put Civil War above Winter Soldier? No, I do not agree with that one. Thor Ragnarok, hands down. Thor Ragnarok is the best Thor movie. It's way better than Thor Love and Thunder. 100 times better than Thor The Dark World. Spider-Man No Way Home, better than Far From Home. I just watched Far From Home the other day. Yes, for sure. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Okay, all right, yeah. Again, I don't consider any of the Ant-Man movies to be like A tier anyway. So, Quantumania being the best of the three, I'll take that. I'm definitely looking forward to Secret Invasion on June 21st. And we got shots of the King and Queen of Gotham. Got Lady Gaga as she will be playing Harley Quinn in the upcoming Joker film. And Joaquin Phoenix will be reprising his role as Arthur Fleck as the Joker in Joker Fale à Deux. To my French-speaking listeners, please translate. I took 3 years of French in high school, and I've been to Quebec twice. Shout out to my listeners up in the Great White North. Yeah, shout out to my listeners in France, listeners in the Great White North. But yeah, Joker Fale à Deux. Looking forward to that. I want to say it's set for like October of next year. But yeah, that movie looks pretty promising. You know, Joaquin Phoenix doing it big. And I guess that's all I got for this week's edition of Current Nerd News. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to check out my recent audio commentaries of John Wick's 1, 2, and 3, as well as my most recent audio commentary of Spider-Man Far From Home. I have finally concluded the Infinity Saga rewatch series. Only this one was an audio commentary. All the other ones have been reviews. Let me know what you guys want to see more of. Like, should I go back to doing reviews, or do you want to see more audio commentaries? Let me know. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at future_mechanical_engineer. Follow Cobbs Corner on Instagram and TikTok. All of those links are in the description below. Questions, comments, concerns, email me at cobbscornerpodcast@gmail.com. That email is also listed in the description. And follow Cobbs Corner wherever you get your podcasts. Follow Cobbs Corner wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's all I got for this week's edition of Current Nerd News. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed your stay here at Cobbs Corner. I will talk to all of you in the next episode. Peace.